I've managed to sneak into one of the cars. We're here at Alton Park for the third round of the Lotus on Track Elise Trophy, and we've got 28 cars starting on the grid. We've got a new racer who's never actually raced before. We've also got people who have never been round Alton Park before, so it should be an interesting morning for us here at Alton.
I only got my kind of ARDS licence about a week ago, so it's been kind of flat out to try and get the car ready for today. But everyone here seems like a great bunch, but great laugh so far this weekend, so as long as I can keep it on the black stuff, quite looking forward to it.
In qualifying, that was my test session. After the fire at Sliverstone, I drove the car during the week to work to get some miles on it, and all seems okay, and qualified second from last, which that's my aim, not to be last on the grid. So yeah, I think I've done pretty well, learnt the circuit, and hopefully the race will be good.
A very confident Graham Walsh waiting for his first race at Alton Park. This 2.69 mile circuit is the international circuit here in the Cheshire countryside, and it's regarded by racing drivers across the board as being one of the finest circuits. Chris Randall is in pole position ahead of Andrew Walsh. They both carry quite a lot of experience into this race, and yet they are racing against a lot less experienced drivers. Hans Beaumont, for example, is having his first race at Alton Park today. Paul Golding, number 2 on row 23, he is the man responsible for putting this whole thing together, and a very good job he's done too. John Thorne and Tony Verrier are in 2 of the VX220s that are also taking part in this race. The grid finally coming together. Simon Scuffham has an in-car camera. The red lights are on. They go out and the race is underway. Chris Randall looks as though he's got away fairly quickly, just ahead of Andrew Walsh. We're looking back now to Chris Randall as they go into Old Hall Corner, and Scott Fitzgerald just nips ahead of Andrew Walsh to get into second place. A big field then going through Old Hall, and number 3 Christian Watkins spins out in front of the pack, and you can see that 2 cars there. I think that Jez Breaker suffered as Martin Roberts drove into the side of him. Well, it certainly held 1 or 2 people up as they come down through Cascades and along past Lakeside, then with Randall leading, Fitzgerald second and Andrew Walsh in third place. They approach the very demanding banked hairpin at Shell Oil's corner. Out they come, and the order is still the same amongst the leading trio, and they're now heading into the Fulston chicane and going up to Hilltop on this opening lap as the field begins to settle out and down into some sort of order. We're moving back down the field, and now we see Andrew Walsh moving up ahead of Scott Fitzgerald to take that second place as they go into the Knickerbrook chicane. So it's Randall, then Walsh from Scott Fitzgerald right on his tail, and then the very bright Dayglow orange car of Russell Treasure as they go up Clay Hill and towards Druids, which is the double apex right-hander that the leader goes through. And Treasure moves up ahead of Scott Fitzgerald to take third place. And oh dear, Tessa Howell has spun out, and in trying to avoid her, the VX220 of Tom Chataway goes into the gravel but manages to get out again. Simon Scuffham chasing hard after Williams and Kell. Simon's in 7th place, just ahead of David Skeggs and Neil McKean. Here comes Russell Treasure in 2nd place, ahead of Andrew Walsh as they go through Old Hall and down towards Cascades with Chris Randall just ahead of them. And here is the Class A battle as Hans Beaumont takes the lead. There are battles up and down the field in this Lotus Elise Trophy race at the present moment. From Hilltop down into the Knickerbrook chicane, and Randall already through. There is Treasure in 2nd place, Andrew Walsh 3rd, with Scott Fitzgerald in 4th place, but challenging hard. Chris Randall through Druids, followed by Russell Treasure, 2nd place, Andrew Walsh in 3rd. And you can see there that Randall is really pulling out quite a big lead. Now the Class A battle, and here we can see that Gavin Kirby, the winner of the previous 2 rounds, has pulled up into 2nd place ahead of Martin Edwards and is now challenging number 14, the blue car here of Hans Beaumont. So that's the gap. First, second and third in Class A. They really are fighting it out. Tony Verrier, Graham Walsh, he's battling with the two VX220s. Across the start line and onto lap 3. Steve Williams ahead of Andrew Kell and Simon Scuffham in 4th, 5th and 6th places. Then Nick Kay 7th, Skeggs 8th and McCain 9th. On board with Neil McKean down to Cascades, and he's trying up the inside but doesn't get away with it this time as they turn through Cascades. Simon Scuffham is closing up and desperately trying to get through on the inside as they go through Falstons in his battle for 4th, 5th and 6th places. Andrew Kell is managing to stay ahead of him as they drop down to Falstons and into the chicane. So at the moment it's Steve Williams who's holding on to 4th place from Andrew Kell in 5th, and then Simon Scuffham in 6th place as they go up Clay Hill once more. Now, into Lodge comes this fascinating battle. Kell tries up the inside of Steve Williams, but it looks as though he's paying the price on the exit of the corner. He goes wide. That gives the opportunity to Simon Scuffham to get up alongside him as they cross the start-finishing line and head into Old Hall. And who's going to be the last of the late breakers? I think Scuffham went through, but we're back with Class A again now. And Gavin Kirby is ahead of number 14, Hans Boemhart, with Michael Edwards there in 3rd place. That trio of Class A cars really having a first-class battle. Is Gavin Kirby beginning to pull away? I think he is, but Michael Edwards is trying up the inside of Hans Boemhart as they come into Old Hall. Boemhart covers it. Now into Knickerbrook, and Scuffham locks up. So Andrew Kell goes through and retakes that place from Simon Scuffham. And, well, that just shows how hard he's trying. Giggs, Harvey, Kay, McKee. Up over the top they go from Falstons, heading towards Knickerbrook, and Kay is making a move and he's trying to go up on the inside there, and he's overshot the chicane. He may incur a penalty for that because he certainly seems to take an advantage. So Kay heads that group of 4 cars, but will he pay? Back at Knickerbrook, and here come the Class A cars, but they've got Christian Watkins, number 3, recovering, trying to go up through the field after that earlier incident. Those Class A cars have had a wonderful battle, but look at this, the VX220s, and Graham Walsh is still battling it out with them. They really have had a race. And Chris Randall has lapped the Class A cars. He's through Old Hall, and there we see the Class A cars trying desperately to hold the pace. And there's Scott Fitzgerald in 2nd place, having lapped some of the slower cars. They have behaved very well, keeping out of the way of the race leaders. Through Deer Leap. Now, here comes number 88, Chris Randall, once again. Through Lodge for the last time, over Deer Leap, and there is the checkered flag and victory in this 20 minutes Lotus Elise Trophy race. He won by a very considerable margin, and there is Scott Fitzgerald in 2nd place. He's through Lodge, up over Deer Leap again, and coming up to take the checkered flag. A very worthy 2nd place and winning in Class B. And the race-long battle for 3rd and 4th place is finally won by Andrew Kell, but only just from Simon Scuffham in 4th place. A splendid victory for Chris Randall, number 88. 2nd was Scott Fitzgerald. 3rd, Andrew Kell, finally just beating Simon Scuffham. Then Steve Williams, Neil McKean, David Skeggs, Nick Kay, David Harvey and Doug Setters. The class victories: Class A yet again to Gavin Kirby, Class B to Scott Fitzgerald, and Class C, Chris Randall.
First lap, first turn, talk me through it.
Christian's car spun in front of us, went onto the grass a little bit, he cut back across on the track backwards, so I kind of locked up, managed to avoid Christian, and unfortunately Martin in the blue car didn't manage to avoid me because I was pretty much stationary on the corner, on the first corner. So we've got quite a bit of work to do to make the next race, I think, so we'll see.
A popular victory for Chris Randall. the winner, of course, of Class C. He receives his garland and trophy, and the applause once again. The winner of Class B was Scott Fitzgerald, and I thought he had a particularly good race to finish second overall. Finally, Class A, a hat-trick of victories for Gavin Kirby.
You got to be well happy with that.
Yeah, it was really good race. I got quite a reasonable start, and then my teammate Scott had an absolutely blinding start. I thought he was going to might well have the edge into the first corner, but just held him off. He got past Andrew Walsh, and then I had a clear track, so I could make a bit of ground. It was good.
You made a lot of ground, and you set the fastest lap as well.
Yeah, apparently I did. So yeah, I haven't looked at the sheets yet, but yeah, it was good. Without Walshy to push me, it was I had a clear track and I could get on with it. Simple as that. It's good fun.
Well, that was a great first race, I'm sure you'll agree. Stay with us. Coming up, we've got the handicap race, whereby grid positions are fixed from the qualifying positions this morning. And of course, some drivers adopt a few laps.